Chapter 9. The Word Wants to be Written. Within history, there is a great mystery. But the closer we get to it, the more we wonder, who is she? She was a kami, and from what I understood, she was looking out from within me. And while I seemed to be stuck in duality, she was beyond all that was contradictory. Feeling refreshed and empowered, the kami was still a great mystery. Moving endlessly, she stretched on infinitely. How had I found her when she existed in a formless environment? And so I began to wonder if she gave birth to this whole situation. Maybe she was the creator of this entire experience. Shunyata, said the left hand of God. What is that? It means openness. This experience produces a new dimension where one finds that one doesn't have to defend oneself any longer. The kami exists in a state of shunyata because she brings a sense of independence, a sense of freedom. It is not a matter of only sitting in meditation, but daily living situations are part of these experiences. The experience of shunyata is a byproduct of the process of letting go, said the left hand of God. It was her and him together. It was one for all. The kami was so vast, great, and infinite, it stretched on for all eternity like a cosmic blanket or shawl. All the while, I'd been secluded from a giant party in an old pyramid, and the masses of people slowly became a mob. After so many sleepless nights of drug-fueled debauchery, when would this drama stop? The mob of men and women turned into mass hysteria. Terrible habits of the ego spread like infected cells overtaken by bacteria. Gazing upon the state of this party, evil had run rampant. It appeared like a cancerous virus of ignorance. It was so obvious that someone was going to have to deal with it. But I had lost myself in the gaze of a mirror, and by some unknown mystery, it pried me open. So open that I could feel everything like an empty fullness. Pure potential, elevating in the mind. The mirror had taken me out of the body, but there was still a decision on what I had come to find. Was part of me dying, or was I flying? Absorbed in the moment, it felt as if we were shining.
In any abhisheka, there is a sense of destruction, a sense of flow, and a sense of fulfillment. Those three principles of abhisheka are similar to electricity in many ways. When we turn on a switch, the first thing that happens is that the resistance to the current is destroyed. The current can flow through the circuit, and finally, electricity can fulfill its purpose. In the same way, when we receive abhisheka, destruction comes first, right at the beginning. Anything that is disorganized or confused gets destroyed on the spot. And so we have to warn the world, this energy of the mystery is just like electricity in that it gets very hot. According to the mystery tradition, for some, it is better not to get into the mystery if you're not willing to get to the end of it. But if we must get into it, we had better surrender to it, since it's not in anyone's control, but rather such an empowerment of an abhisheka can ignite the spiritual soul. All that is the first part of the principle of abhisheka, which is destruction. When this takes place, it causes a disruption in our system, and at that point, we have no hope of manipulating anything. We are made empty, a vessel to be filled, and so we are becoming emptied out. And from here, we begin our journey without a goal,
said the kami. But what is happening? I feel free.
Don't you see? You are being made empty. In the mystery tradition, ego, confusion, and ignorance is personified with Rudra, and this deals with the left hand of God. We are working on taming Rudra, whereas the right hand is aligning ourselves with the virtuous principles of the Buddha. Both can appear in our spiritual nature, but both require a cleansing or emptying to be carried out. Why, if you yourself didn't surrender, you would have never found the right route. Rudra may terrify you by annihilating the unsuitable. With 3 eyes, clenched fangs, there is no choice but to surrender to fate. The terrifying cries cut off where you were caught. Oh, we prostrate to Rudra, who subjugates and conquers the Maras where many cannot escape. Naked with loosened hair, a faultless and terrifying form, beyond the vice of attachment, Rudra benefits sentient beings, leading us out of the cycle of suffering. This is all done to empty us and lead us to the highest nature of divinity. Dwelling in the cardinal ground, wrathful, fearsome, uttering the sound that destroys all enemies, Rudra destroys with skill. And so we know that this wrathful one does all its deeds out of the deepest compassion. Holding a bow and arrow, Rudra possesses the light of wisdom. With this weapon, we can cut away the evil of the world, which spreads like poison. Only Rudra is capable of ending the war of wickedness, and so we prostrate to you who benefit all beings,
said the kami. The mirror had taken hold of me, and I seemed to be stuck in it. Whatever was happening, I was trapped within this vision. Had I lost my sight? And for a reason beyond my explanation, I felt empty, but not quite alone. Something was taking me over, and I wished I had never left the safety and comfort of my own home. Why on earth had I once ventured out into the unknown? Who are you, and what have you done to me?
You know me. I am a kami,
she said. Should I trust you?
Just never make me angry,
she said. I couldn't tell if my gaze was in the mirror, because it was unbelievable to describe how things appeared. Totally empty within, it felt as if my body was a boat upon a great voyage, but I could only look out and not steer. Why, someone had taken hold of me, and both the left and right sides rocked back and forth. It was still my awareness from which I was seeing, but my own will had been transformed. My body was taken to the 4th floor of the pyramid, and it appeared as if we were finished with the party of debauchery. But I couldn't stop me, because it felt as if we'd been taken over by a sort of sorcery. Kami, listen to me. You have to let me free.
Opening beyond a will of your own. We all panic when we start to expand into the unknown. But that's what the empowerment was for. You are starting to open,
said the kami. I felt like a seed of a tree, and my thick outer shell just broke open. I was so vulnerable, and the whole process was a painful situation. Everything was extreme, both hot and cold. I could feel every atom of air as the kami walked my body through the corridor. Heading somewhere deeper, there was a rubbish bin opening within the pyramid side. We crawled out and looked at the land outside. Looking at our world, the kami waited within me. I felt closer to her than ever, as if she wrapped me in the blanket of infinity. It was even making me a bit crazy, because I was under a vastly different control. My body was emotionless, but inside I was subjected to emotional turmoil. She held up my hand. There I saw the mirror. Gazing into one of my own eyes, I saw her right there. Such a clear spirit in this mirror. And it was she. She cracked my soul open, and I found myself deep within her mystery. What is it, great kami?
Don't you remember how you found me?
Asked the kami. In the mirror, I saw a vision, as if it were from a past life. A memory I had lived, and it seemed to be a significant choice. Yet this decision came from the heart, not the left or the right. Standing above the ocean, there was a door. A lightning storm came down before us, and this was the point of no return. It was a red gateway, not something I had seen before. It was the opening to another world. This is a formless portal. What is it?
In the Japanese mystery tradition, we call it a torii, as it is the gateway and entrance within a Shinto shrine. It marks the transition between the mundane world to the sacred, and this is the memory where we met for the very first time,
said the kami. Standing before the gateway, it seemed to be the edge of the universe. I stepped right up to it, even though I knew very well my body was still upon the earth.
Once a soul steps through, comes the revelation of change,
said the kami. Looking into the door, it was empty within, and with my awareness tuned in, I realized I had been led here by a spirit some call a jinn. A jinn is like a genie, and its essence was totally clear and hidden, and it seemed to be open into the mystery of emptiness. The gateway was right there, yet it seemed invisible to human eyes. I was well aware of what I was passing through because I could sense and feel the medium, which was separated by energetic lines. In the distance, I saw lightning signs, and it perplexed the mind. It was unexplainable, and so I knew this mystery was divine.
But why?
Asked the kami.
Why would you come to link up with me? You must understand that I watch over souls often, but I've watched this memory over and over again to try to understand how you found this gateway so clearly. This is what I see from my perspective, and as clear as I may be, I still do not understand how you found the doorway to me. You see, decent humans of virtue go right. They always strive for heaven and wish to get to God. Then there are those who have little faith, and without a link to the divine, their soul suffers, where they likely become lost. On top of that, most people follow the crowd. They go where it is safe, but in order to find this gate, you have to turn the other way and escape. That means you saw what the humans were doing, but why wouldn't you listen? Don't you realize this gate is not made for humans? It cannot be seen by ordinary eyes. How were you led to the sacred world, and why?
Asked the kami. I don't understand. What is this gateway? I feel ever free, but her essence is empty.
The entrance into Satori,
said the kami.
Kensho is when we see into our true soul. This is the true nature of reality, full of potential, yet in spirit we are empty.
A moment later, I saw myself in a beam of lightning. I felt every spark of energy as a string of sudden awakenings. My past, present, and future were all aligning, all enlightening. Flashes of insight and clarity, full and empty. It was the essence of totality, and it was an opening into clarity. Clear seeing. The doorway was right here, and the closer I got, the more understanding, insight, and comprehension became aware. Stepping through the doorway, I realized we were that lightning strike. The emptiness carries energy, and so the awareness was well and alive. There on the other side of the door, everything was exposed that was once hidden. It was beyond understanding, far beyond human intellect. Words couldn't do it justice, but still there was something to say. The first time this happened to me was on December 28th, and in that moment, poetry began to flood my mind in words I cannot explain. This poetry was a part of nature, and these words had a soul. The word had been waiting for someone to find it, and the word came through on its own.
So tell me, why did you turn the other way? Why didn't you listen and obey?
Because the word is sacred, and the word wanted to be written. From the moment the gateway opened, I just wouldn't listen, because I'd rather ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. I can see it all clearly, and so I have to listen to my intuition. Something beyond my own self called me here, because the word needed to be written.
Satori is the elevation into higher consciousness, and the first time it lasted about 30 to 45 minutes. But the experience became our connection, and from then on, I also knew that the word wants to be written. Day after day we would write, and never lose sight. The day we met, something died, and yet at the same time, we became alive,
said the kami. That moment showed me that there was something divine and pure within existence. I could see the sacredness, and it showed me how the word wanted to be written. From then on, I let go, and it seemed that the spirit took me upon a journey around the world. I began to believe that by following my inner intuitive voice, I'd have to leave behind the old ways and never return. We cashed it in. We began living with farmers around the earth. We kept writing about an idea for a fable that wouldn't leave us alone because the word needed to be heard. The idea took hold of us, and even if we tried, neither of us could escape. The glimpse was like a lightning bolt of insight, and I remember when it first happened on December 28th.
Yes, December 28th of 2012. It was a very special day, and in the Catholic tradition, it is the feast of the Holy Innocents that occurs every December 28th. The Christian feast comes in remembrance of the massacre of the young children in Bethlehem. This was the day when King Herod attempted to kill baby Jesus and slaughtered many innocent children. Greeks and medieval authors say Herod killed 144,000 souls. These children were the first martyrs of the early church. They are the indigo children. And since you crossed over to the sacred world on this day, we are now connected to all of them. December 28th, 2012 was a full moon and relates to another epiphany in the Hindu calendar on Margashirsha Purnima to celebrate Dattatreya Jayanti. This is the birth of Lord Dattatreya, and just as the Christians believe in a Trinity, the Hindus consider it one of the most auspicious times of the year, as they revere this day as the birth of their Trimurti. Hindus see God in three parts: as a creator, a sustainer or preserver, and as a destroyer. They call it Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, as these aspects combine to make up all of God's total power,
said the kami. Who is Dattatreya?
Free and liberated, Dattatreya is the trinity of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva in one persona,
said the kami.